What's up, people? Sorry I'm here a little late. I normally don't do videos this time of night, but I was doing something earlier, so I had to get this out the way. So, we are on the third Lethal Weapon now. We're on Lethal Weapon 3. Tomorrow, I'll have two videos. We're going to do another bands I love. We're going to be talking about Stone Temple Pilots. This week will be Stone Temple Pilots and Soundgarden. I'm debating which one I'm going to do first. I'm leaning on Stone because I think Soundgarden's a bigger, band, and especially in terms of grunge. So yeah. So probably more than likely tomorrow will be Stone Temple Pilots, and we'll review Lethal Weapon 4. Wednesday we'll be talking about Soundgarden, and I'm thinking I'm going to be doing a Long Kiss Goodnight review. And then Thursday and Friday are gonna be two rant videos. So on Thursday it's gonna be a rant video. One on almost a video I kind of been wanting to do for a while. Almost, because last week I did the Sarah Connor Ripley video, and the main point in that was, well, obviously to compare those two, but to compare them to modern female characters, and that's gonna be the thing we're gonna be talking about on Thursday, and then Friday we will be doing a rant on modern, like just kind of the problem with humor in movies. So that's my schedule this week. So, but Lethal Weapon 3, I remember watching this the first time. I'm really trying to remember it because I think it wasn't long after I watched the first one because I think I watched them all just at once. And I remember just loving it. Lethal Weapon 3 to me is my second favorite. If I will do a ranking probably on these movies, and this will be number two. I think I love the first one, but this one is so good. What I like about this one is Riggs and Murtaugh's fully established now. Two movies in, they're almost like have fun with it. I think Travis is a decent bad guy. Lorna was a great addition. Um, it's just a fun movie. This movie came out in 92. 92. Yeah, this movie came out in 1992. And it's really good. I think also why I like it, they almost just like have fun with Riggs because those first two movies they really tackle, especially in the second one, this whole thing with his wife being dead. So I kind of like in this one they don't do that. They're like, okay, let's just have fun with the character now. We kind of dealt with his whole issues and his stuff with his wife in the second movie. So they're just like, let's have fun with Riggs, and I think they do. So before we get into it, cheers. But for the most part, I will try to do videos during the day. It's just make it do it. I wanted to do it before it got too dark. So this movie kicks off with Riggs and Murtaugh at this building that has a bomb in it. And they're waiting for the bomb squad, but Riggs just like, no, there's no bomb in there. We'll just go in ourselves. So they both go in because they try to defuse the bomb, but they picked the wrong wire. It was a funny scene, man. Just a funny way to open the film. And as usual, the banter between the banter between Riggs and Murtaugh is so good. Honestly, especially in this movie. And this movie does deal with some serious shit with Murtaugh's character, which we'll get to later. But yeah, man, I really love this intro. It's a funny way to open the film. Defuse the wrong bomb, and then there's a cat there. It's just really funny. Building blows up, and then the bomb squad show up. Really funny. It's a funny fucking intro. Just, and then now they're basically back to being in basic uniform. They fuck with a guy who's jaywalking, and then they have a funny little argument. It's really funny because Murtaugh is about to retire in a week. So that's kind of basically what this film is. It's basically days leading up to his retirement. So they have a chase because somebody tried to steal an armored car. So Riggs chase jumps on the car, has a brawl with the guys, while Murtaugh chases, and then with gets some help from some lady. I don't remember. I don't think they say her name, So, or they do, I just don't remember it. So they end up stopping the bad guys. You have a funny little scene between Murtaugh and the girl who kind of has like a thing for him. So she kisses him, and then not Murtaugh, Riggs punches out the guy. So we're introduced now to Jack Travis, who's the villain of the film. He's a cop. He's a retired, not a retired, but he's a former cop. But basically, he's a dirty cop, and he's using his access as a cop to steal weapons. And he's trying to build like his own, uh, like a community. So they end up taking the suspect, arresting him. And this is where Lorna is introduced. She's from Eternal Affairs. Her and Riggs, obviously, they kind of started off like shit. Sorry about that. Them having, you know, uh, like a rocky relationship, like them going at each other and stuff. So Travis shows up, kills, God, they said his name in the movie and I don't remember it. Well, he ends up getting killed anyway. So he gets killed. Um, so they know it's Travis. So Riggs and Murtaugh meet up again with. Sorry about that. Stupid ass moth got in the way. Um, but so uh, Get Leo shows up. Sorry, my mind just went blank for a second. Leo shows up. Who's trying to sell their house. So you got a little scene. I should have mentioned that earlier. You have like a funny little scene where Leo's trying to sell the house, Murtaugh's house, to some people, and it's a funny little exchange. So Leo meets up with them again, and he says he knows Travis, so he takes him to the hockey rink. They try to grab Travis, but Travis escapes, and Travis ends up shooting Leo. Not obviously not fatally, just like in the shoulder. Um, it was a great scene, and rewatching on an HBO Max, man, it looks great. Honestly, all the Lethal Weapon movies, you watch them on HBO Max, they look fucking great. So they take Leo to the hospital. Then I think they stop. Murtaugh and Riggs stop at this place, like this burger joint, and Murtaugh's gonna make Riggs a burger, but Riggs notices like a drug deal, and it's with Oh, it's another thing. Nick's friend. I'm trying to find the name of the guy. Daryl. Nick's friend Daryl, who you see earlier. Nick is Murtaugh's son, who earlier, and Daryl's like a gang member. So Daryl, you see him earlier in the film. So Riggs sees Daryl and other dudes basically doing a drug deal. Riggs like basically announces himself, has a shootout. Murtaugh hears, and earlier in the film it's mentioned that the bullets that are out there are called cop killers. Basically, are bullets that can penetrate bulletproof vests. So, and it's shown earlier that they could do it. So it's almost like foreshadowing, because what ends up happening is Murtaugh, has no choice but to shoot the kid, so he shoots Daryl, but he's really sad about it. And here's the thing, I get it, because this is Nick's son's friend, Nick, which is his son. Sorry, I fucked that up. Murtaugh's son, Nick's friend. I understand that, but this dude was trying to kill you, and not just you, your partner. I personally, if I was Nick, I wouldn't blame him. And obviously he does it later, but obviously Murtaugh, and I get it, because it's been established in those first two movies, Murtaugh's not a shoot first like guy. He's not like Riggs in that he tries not to shoot first, so he doubts himself, and he can't even go home, so he drives off. Riggs goes back to the station. Fucking Lorna confronts him about like, why didn't you tell me about Travis? And he's like, no, I'm not, because you're not helping me out. So they have a little bit of a spat, and then he asks, basically he wants to help, and so they start working together. She informs them about a gun that's been basically illegally used. So they confront, I'm assuming it's Travis's base. So they go to the base, him and Riggs and Lorna. And Murtaugh kind of disappears from the film for like a little, not too long, but a little bit. So they have you have this shootout where they go to the I'm assuming it's like the dealer's base. So they go there, they take some weapons. Oh, it's like a warehouse. So they go to a warehouse, and Riggs gets captured initially, but gets saved by Lorna. Big shootout ensues. Fun scene. Um, and before that, Riggs, who's good with dogs. We've kind of even throughout the film, there's a little joke where he's eating like dog treats because he's trying to like not smoke. So he just like eats dog treats. It's really funny. So he communicates because this warehouse has a dog, right? So Riggs is able to take the dog. He ends up taking the dog as his new dog because I think the other one from the first two died, and I think died the second one. So he so they end up stealing a vehicle with some of the weapons, and they get away. And I think after that, Tyrone tries to renege his deal with Travis, but Travis says, no, you will die if you will. So that has a quick little scene. Then they're back at Lorna's place. She's kind of comforting his wounds, and it's clearly they're flirting. They're like almost like Jaws a little bit with the scene where Quint and Hooper are comparing like battle damage, how many like scars they have. You kind of get a little bit of that in this scene. Him and Lorna, played by Rene Russo, his chemistry with her is really good. Like they have so much chemistry. I was one initially. I didn't really like they killed Rika in the second one, and I apparently looked up they originally weren't, but they thought it would fit. And honestly, it kind of did because in the long run, we would have got Lorna as a character. So I'm kind of cool with it in the long run. So they kiss and stuff. Then Riggs comes to confront Murtaugh, who's been on his boat just drinking because he's been sad about killing his son's friend. And then they kind of have a bit of an argument. This is my opinion. One of my favorite Danny Glover scenes. Like, just this is a really well acted scene between these two. Just arguing about, that kind of Riggs has a point. Like, he kind of calls him selfish because like you only care like because it's like true because what Murtaugh's thinking is I killed that kid, and he's not like Riggs where he just will kill first. And it was a really well acted scene between the two. And then obviously Riggs is it kind of came out that he's having a problem because he doesn't like that Murtaugh's just retiring. Almost like retiring him. And it really is a well acted scene between the two. So well acted. And then, they have a funny scene where, because throughout the film, Murtaugh gets a little, thinks that, like, fucking Riggs is hitting on his daughter. So Riggs tells him he slept with Lorna, but I slept with her. Then Murtaugh punches him because he thinks he slept with his daughter. Funny little scene in the end there. Then Murtaugh talks to his son. That's another scene that's really good. And basically, Nick's right. He blamed Daryl, and it's true. It was Daryl's dumbass who shot at him. I would have shot him too. I mean, this is how I look at it. Even if he's my best friend in the fucking world, you try to kill my dad. That doesn't compute. And then you get like the funeral scene where it play a little bit of Boys to Men. Not gonna lie, it's pretty good. It's a good song. So play So Hard to Say Goodbye, and then Daryl's mom slaps Murtaugh. I kind of feel bad for him. It's like, why? Your son was the dumbass, and the dad kind of straightened it up and was like, you gotta get you want to make it up, get the person who gave my son the gun. And see, that's a good point, but I get it. Mom's emotional. So then Riggs and Murtaugh go house to house finding who gave out them the gun. And it was a good little scene. And honestly, the first part was so true because he grabbed I'm assuming it's one of Daryl's friends, puts a gun on him and is talking about like how we're genocide. I'm gonna say it, black people are genociding each other. That honestly, when I first watched it, threw me off. I'm like, wow, they threw something like that in a movie like this, and it's true. I don't want to make it too political, but that's such a good point, because it's kind of talking about basically black on black crime. So then gets to Tyrone, and then they're back at trying to find what scene. So then they're back at, like, I guess some kind of garage, who is by these people who work for Travis. You get a scene. You kind of get a little bit of a scene where they showcase what Lorna can do, and she takes out a bunch of dudes. Really funny scene. It's just, like I said, a fun fucking movie, and that scene on the boat is so good. And honestly, I think the music is really, they amped up the music. They don't just play like you get the normal sax, but they actually amped it up, especially in like the action scenes. Then they're back at the police station. The chief, the chief whom you see throughout the films, get basically kidnapped by Travis, and they hack the computer system because Travis is trying to get more weaponry. So while this is happening, you kind of get the normal scenes that you have in the police station where you get a little bit of banter. They bring in Leo. They realize something's going down, so Riggs, Murtaugh, Lorna, and this kid you kind of see throughout the film who's he's a younger cop. So he's like just becoming a cop. So he goes with them. Then they confront Travis, big shootout, fun little scene. Unfortunately, the kid gets shot. Then Riggs tries to chase Travis, and another guy in like a truck on the subway. Fun little scene, Riggs getting on the fucking train. It's a really fun little scene. And then he has to steal a cop's motorcycle, but he ends up getting driven off the road and he falls, and he's fine. You get the scene where he breaks his arm back in, and then Lee and Murtaugh get ready to Riggs and Murtaugh, sorry. Riggs and Murtaugh get ready to just let me see how long I've been filming. Okay. Sorry you don't see me. I'll try to get better and do videos. My normal time is just sorry about that. But anyway, so Riggs and Murtaugh go to this community that fucking Travis is building up. This construction company. And Riggs and Murtaugh come with Cole and they infiltrate. Big shootout, Basically, Riggs blows up the construction company. Big shootout proceeds to happen. Lorna ends up getting shot by Travis. And then Travis and Riggs have a fight. Travis tries to get into like a bulldozer, or one of like the construction trucks. I'll just say it, one of the vehicles, and Murtaugh helps him out by giving him a gun with those bullets that can penetrate metal. So Riggs shoots Travis, kills him. It was a fun little final fight. I think, like I said, I think the fourth one has the best final fight. I think the fourth one has the best villain too. Jet Li is fucking. I just watched it last night. Jet Li's fucking brutal in that. But so Riggs decides. So the next scene is Riggs. It's the day of Riggs' retirement, but he obviously decides not to, which almost basically hints they're gonna do another one. So he doesn't retire, and the family celebrates, and then he gets in the car with Riggs. You get a bit of banter between the two, and the film ends. Lethal Weapon 3 is great. I think it's such a fun watch. That scene between Murtaugh and Riggs on the boat is so good. It is so good. And just the little emotional story with, Murtaugh, killing his son's friend. And it's like, obviously it's justified, But at the same time, you kind of get why Murtaugh feels that way because he's not the shooter. He'll shoot you obviously if he has no fucking choice, but he's not like Riggs, who Riggs is more the shoot first, ask questions later guy, and Murtaugh isn't that. So, and this is somebody who is his son's friend established earlier. So it's a really just well around scene, and just Lorna, played by Renee Russo, is fucking awesome. But apparently, according to feminists, there's no powerful women until Captain Marvel. This woman was great. She had great banter with fucking uh, Riggs. Her and Mel Gibson had great chemistry in this movie. Like, oh my god, it was really good. Like the scenes they had together were all good. Even like the scenes where they were bickering. Like that's the thing with these movies in general is there's always chemistry, and whenever a new person's at, like Leo in the second one, and Leo, of all the four films, I think this is my favorite film with him in it. Some of this stuff, they obviously gotta have like a "they fuck you" kind of joke. Like in the fourth one, it's about cell phones. I'm trying to remember if there was one in this one, but yeah, it's really funny. He's Joe Pesci's great. They're all great. Y'all know how much I love Mel Gibson. And Danny Glover is awesome. Like they're just an all around awesome cast. And Travis is a decent villain. He's not the best villain even compared to the second one. I think my favorite obviously is fourth. I mentioned it earlier. But yeah, I think Travis was decent for this film. Former cop. Like the villains are never over the top in these movies. They're just like in the first one they were drug dealers essentially. In the second one they were kind of drug dealers smuggling stuff in, but you have that apartheid element. In this, you have a former cop who's just doing dirty stuff. And then in the fourth one, you have the Chinese triads, essentially. Just very simple. And like I said, the fun action scenes, the banter. That's just all I can say about this film. This video wasn't gonna be super long. But yeah, Lethal Weapon 3 is great. 10 out of 10. I would advise I watched them all. Just watched all of them. Tomorrow we will review Lethal Weapon 4, and talk about the band Stone Temple Pilots. So this film is great, but other than that, as usual, take my final hit. Cheers. But other than that. Awesome film. Fuck Warner Brothers. Fuck Disney. Fuck James Mangold. I hope his movie flops. I hope Indy 4 flops. And fuck OneRing.net. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Lethal Weapon 3 is the best. Peace.